Hey y'all, happy Tuesday. Hope everybody's having a great day. Y'all can't see it, but Stella's like right here. She's like clinging to me today, and it's not a good thing today because I had to go down to the house and walk around and do a video of the outside of the house and the buildings and outside of all of our buildings and then inside for appraisers. Apparently don't come to the site anymore. They ask you to send them the videos and the pictures. So that's what I had to do. Well, it rained a lot last night, and Stella ran through every puddle. She loves it, and she stinks, and she's laying here, and I can smell it. I'm glad y'all this isn't smell-o-vision because it doesn't smell. She smells like wet dog. It's bad. It's really, really bad. I want to start out today by saying thanks to. Oh, she thought she heard something. By saying thanks to. Hey, shh. Thanks to thanks to Parco Tax and Kim Morris and Dawn and Sheila Ferris for continuing on as social media sponsors. I am so appreciative of that. I thank you from the bottom of our hearts, because if we don't have extra funds for that our Sunday lives would maybe have to go away. Our daily lives would have to go away. And I know I've been inconsistent, but and I didn't get on yesterday, and it was just a struggle day for me. So, anyways, I just want to thank those three. Thank you so much for continuing on and supporting this live and the lives that we do on Sunday mornings. If you want to be a sponsor, just get in contact with myself or Michael, and we will get you signed up, and we would appreciate every bit of it. So, in thinking about what to talk about, I just went to what we did Sunday night in women's meeting, and I read the story of Samson and Delilah in Judges chapter 16. Starting at verse 4, it says, "Later Samson fell in love with a woman named Delilah, who lived in the valley of Sorek. The leaders of the Philistines went to her and said, 'Find out from Samson what makes him so strong and how he can be overpowered and tied up securely. Then each of us will bring you 1,100 pieces of silver.'" 1,100 pieces of silver, that's a lot of money. It'd be a lot of money now. It was a lot of money. But Samson loved her. Samson loved Delilah. So Delilah said to Samson, "Please tell me what makes you so strong and what it would take to tie you up securely." She's very blunt, very bold. "Hey, tell me, why are you so strong, and how can I tie you up or how can you be tied up securely?" She's very blunt, very bold about it. So Samson replied, "If I'm tied up with 7 new bowstrings that have not yet been dried, then I will be as weak as everyone." So Delilah gets the 7 bowstrings, and she tied Samson up with them, which either Samson really, really sleeps well, or Samson just played his part very well. She had hidden some men in one of the rooms of her house and cried out, "Samson, the Philistines have come to capture you." But Samson snapped the bowstrings as if they were a string that had been burned in fire. So the secret of his strength was not discovered. So afterwards, Delilah went to him and said, "You've made fun of me and you told me a lie. Now please tell me how you can be tied up securely." So she's confronting him. She's saying, "You lied to me and you made fun of me. Now tell me the truth." So he said, "If I'm tied up with brand new ropes that have never been used, I will be as weak as anyone else." So Delilah, again, she gets the new ropes and she tied him up with them, and the men were hiding in the room as before, and Delilah cried out, "Samson, the Philistines have come to capture you." But Samson snaps the ropes. Then Delilah said, "You've been making fun of me and telling me lies. Won't you please tell me how you can be tied up so securely?" Then Samson replied, "If you weave the 7 braids of my hair," which I find odd that it's 7 braids, 7 braids, very specific, 7 braids, and I can't feature a man with 7 braids in his hair. Baylor had 4 in her hair the other day and looked like a crazy person. So I'm like, 7 braids. 7, and it's specific, 7 braids. "I will be as weak as anyone else." So while he slept, so again, Samson must have been a heavy sleeper because she took his braids and she wove them into her loom, and she tightened it with the loom shuttle. And again she cried out, "Samson, the Philistines have come to capture you." But when Samson woke up, pulled back the loom shuttle and yanked his hair away from the loom and the fabric. Then Delilah pouted. There we go. Delilah pouted. We get frustrated when our kids pout because they don't get their way. They sit out there with a big old fat puffy lip and we grumble and we groan and we pout. And that's called manipulation. That is manipulation. So Delilah was being Delilah. How can you say you love me? There we go with more manipulation. How can you say you love me when you don't confide in me? You've made fun of me 3 times now, and you still haven't told me what makes you so strong. So she played on Samson's emotions. How can you say that you love me, but you won't tell me the truth? Or you won't tell me what makes you so strong? How can you do that to me? I can just hear the song and dance now. Finally, Samson told her his secret. My hair has never been cut. He confessed, for I was dedicated to God as a Nazirite from birth. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as anyone else. So he confided in her, and he told her the truth. Even after 3 times, she proved that she was not trustworthy. She was not trustworthy. Delilah realized he had finally told her the truth. She knew he had told her the truth in that. So she sent the Philistines' leaders, come back one more time. I'm not crying wolf. I know he told me the truth. I know this is the truth. I need that 1,100 pieces of silver. I want that 1,100 pieces of silver. For he has told me everything. So the Philistine leaders returned and brought the money with them. Delilah lulled Samson to sleep with his head in her lap. Again, he's got to be a heavy sleeper, or she has some magical power to put him to sleep. And she called in a man to shave off his hair, making his capture certain, and his strength left him. Then she cried out, Samson, the Philistines have come to capture you. When he woke up, he thought, I will do as before and shake myself free. But he didn't realize the Lord had left him. So the Philistines captured him and gouged out his eyes. They gouged out his eyes. Took his eyesight away from him. They didn't kill him. They just took his eyesight away from him. They took him to Gaza, where he was bound with bronze chains and made to grind grain in the prison. But before long, his hair began to grow back. Okay, so Philistines, if you knew it was his hair, why would you let it grow back? There was a lot of questions we were talking about in ladies group. The Philistine leaders held a great festival, offering sacrifices and praising their god Dagon. They said, our God has given us victory over our enemy Samson. When the people saw him, they praised their God, saying, our God has delivered our enemy to us. The one who killed so many of us is now in our power. Half drunk by now, the people demanded, so they're having a big party, they're having a thing, and now they're all drunk, and they're saying, have Samson perform for us. Okay, this guy killed a lot of you. This guy killed a lot of your people, and now you want him to perform for you. What do you think's going to happen? But his hair grew back. That's one thing we got to remember. His hair grew back. Samson said to the servant who was leading him by the hand, place my hands against the 2 pillars. I want to rest against them. The temple was completely filled with people, and all the Philistine leaders were there, and there were about 3,000 on the roof who were watching Samson and making fun of him. Then Samson prayed. Then Samson prayed to the Lord. Sovereign Lord, remember me again. Oh God, please strengthen me one more time so that I may pay back the Philistines for the loss of my eyes. He knew where his power came from. It wasn't his hair. It wasn't his hair. He knew where his power came from. It came from the Lord. He knew that. He knew that in that moment, and he prayed. Then Samson put his hands on the center pillars of the temple and pushed against them with all of his might. Let me die with the Philistines, he prayed, and the temple crashed down on the Philistine leaders and all the people. So he killed more people when he died than he had during his entire lifetime. And we were talking about, where does our strength... Sorry. Where does our strength come from? That's what this was all about. And I had a heater setting up on a chair by the plug-in, but it wasn't plugged in. I said, can you turn that heater on? Well, it won't work. Why won't it work? Well, because it's not plugged in. Plugged into what? Power. So why don't we work sometimes? Why aren't we able to get where we need to be? Why do we struggle sometimes? Because we're not plugged into the power source, and that power source being Jesus. We are not plugged into him. We offer offering on Sunday morning with our time, and we're all about, well, okay, it's already afternoon, and that preacher's still preaching. Come on, preacher. Come on, preacher. We offer an hour of our time once a week, if that. There are some that offer a whole lot more. I'm not saying it's everyone. But until we get plugged into that source, until we are craving his word and we're reading it every day and we're studying it every day and we're getting into it every day, we are not going to have the strength that we need, just like Samson. Shaving his head really didn't do anything to him. The Lord left him, and it says that. Samson did not realize the Lord left him. And why did the Lord leave Samson? It's not real specific in there. I feel like it's because he gave into Delilah. Into what he shouldn't have. He told her the truth, and he shouldn't have. Because she used that against him, and she had proven that she was going to do that. If that would have been the first time, more understandable, but that was the fourth time. He allowed her to manipulate him into giving her what she wanted. But when Jesus left, he said, I leave with you the power. I leave with you the Holy Spirit. Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. But also he said, greater things you will do because I go to the Father. Greater things you will do. We will do greater things. But how do we do those greater things? We get plugged into that power. We get plugged in, and we know that no matter what comes up against us, no matter what the enemy throws at us, no matter how many arrows are flying, we have on the full armor of God. We have Jesus. We have everything that we need, and we're plugged into that power. And we can say, I'm rebuking you in the name of Jesus. You have no place in my life. You have the will of man, not the will of God, and you have no place in my life. We have that power. Do we use that power often? No. I know I don't. And I know that for a fact because I had a panic attack on Sunday. I let the enemy win. I let the enemy win. Because I did not use the power that I have within me, that Jesus gave me. I let the enemy win. That's not going to happen again. Jesus had a pretty stern talking to me. I don't like being corrected, but I'm so thankful he corrects me. So very thankful. But until we plug in, just like Samson, he knew where he needed to go. He knew he needed to pray to the Lord in that moment. Lord, remember me one more time, so I can finish what you've called me to do. So I can do exactly what you've asked me to do. How many of us are not plugging in the way that we need to? And I don't mean plugging into a church. I don't mean that. I don't mean meddling in other people's business and plugging into them. I don't mean that. Because so many times we look for our power or our strength from a relationship, from finances, from our job, from every other aspect other than where the Lord intended. And that is Him. And He reminded me of that on Sunday after I got home after women's meeting. He reminded me of that very, very strongly. I'm all that you need to worry about. I have all that you have need of. I am providing for you. Allow me to. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sometimes we're just like Samson and we get ourselves in a place that we don't know what else to do. And we, just like Samson, need to pray to the Lord and cry out one more time. Lord, remember me one more time. I've made a huge mess of this. I don't know how to escape it. But Samson did. Samson knew what he was going to do. Give me the strength to destroy this and be done. And the Lord did. The Lord answered him. We have to be really careful. Because these Philistines were worshiping other gods. And we do that today. And we'll say, oh, I do not. I know the Lord. And I love Jesus with all my heart. Your kids' softball, your kids' baseball, your kids' basketball. Are those not idols? Because you're putting those above everything else? Better be careful. Your job, is that not an idol? You put it above everything else? And even your family, you're making an idol out of that because you want it to be perfect? Better be careful. Because we are not to have any other idols before Him. He needs to be it. And He will put all the other things in place. And He will take care of us. Because He's promised to never leave us or forsake us. He's promised us that we can do all things through Him. He has promised us to be with us, walking us beside the green meadow, or walking us into the green meadows along the still waters. I had somebody send me a song this morning, and they said, this reminded me of you. And it's the song about the 23rd Psalm. And anxiety. And it was just what I needed. So I'm thankful that the Lord moves in ways we don't understand. Whew. Didn't mean to get emotional. But we have to understand where our strength comes from. We can't do this by ourselves. We can't. We think we can. We think we're all magnificent and, we're the best at our job and we do this and we do that. We're just it. We're nothing without Him. And you can see Stella now, barely. Stella, come over here. Come here. There's Stella. She's a mess today. But she knows that I've been struggling, so she's been a Klingon, as I call her. She is a Klingon. She stays close to her mama at all times. So I'm thankful that God gave me the courage to go buy a dog, because I've never had a dog before, really. My daughter had a Westie that was absolutely a little terror. So I stepped out of my comfort zone and I got Stella, and she has been a joy unspeakable. And she sure does help. She gets on my nerves sometimes when she's so clingy, but I love her. So I hope you guys will realize who, where, what your power comes from, and it's Jesus. Plug into that power source, this power source. Get into it every single day, even if it's just 5 minutes. If that's all you have, 5 minutes, just use it and do what He has asked you to do. I hope you guys have a great Tuesday, a great rest of your day. Again, I want to thank Parco Tax Kim Morris and Dawn and Sheila Ferris for continuing on being social media sponsors. I really, really appreciate you guys. Or I shouldn't say we, because it's not me, it's we. We all appreciate you because you make things happen with your donation. So I appreciate that. I hope you guys have a great Tuesday. Men, don't forget tonight, men's meeting, 7 o'clock, multipurpose building. Tomorrow, youth, 6 and 7. Everything kind of going off the same. Adult Bible study at 7 as well. I hope you guys have a great, great day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.